Imagine Tanzania is not as corrupt as we are, but have had a very sluggish development despite there no corruption. Imagine a situation where Tanzania would be as corrupt as Kenya is. I barely think if they would have even a single airport. I barely think. With our state of corruption, if it's not for capitalism, if we impose what you people want to impose on us, then we will be far away. Nations, let me just talk of something. Somebody here just talked of a scholar in the communist world that killed close to 20 million people. Stalin killed millions of people because he was a communist. Why? Because he had the absolute power to do so. We don't want such a situation in our country. And for me, for real, I would bravely brand communists as fascists. If you understood what fascism is, you would have clapped more than that. These are the things that people used to entice people to go to war. The fascist ideology almost broke Germany apart. When Germany was falling, it was because of fascism. When these nations were falling in the West, it's because of the fascists who believed that they could control, manipulate, and infringe the basic rights of people by getting deep into their minds. And we are not going to be infringed by people coming to cheat us so that they can basically manipulate our minds. We are better than what we are. Capitalism is the way. We are corrupt. It's not capitalism that has failed. That's the only way for development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was I'm having some technical issues, but it's sorted. So that was very nice. And I can see, let me just say, where there are great minds, great things happen. Cynthia? Yeah, so in our next communism side, we are going to welcome, who is it? It's Lith Maror. Karibu sana.
Good morning, my comrades. I'm actually surprised that my opponents here are glorifying corruption, which is a vice in the society. I'm surprised that you are glorifying what has made you, or what has made it difficult for you to even pay your school fees. As I begin with, my name is Lith Maror. We know education system in a capitalist education in a capitalist system, how it is. We know in Kenya how many poor people are struggling to take their children to school. And this is something that in a communist society, the government is supposed to take care of. The government is supposed to give equal education for everybody. But in a capitalist system where education has been made business, only those who are rich are supposed to afford education, which should be the case. Before, in a capitalist system, we know that there's this introduction of the structural adjustment programs that has made it very hard for the poor people to take their children to school. Before then, everybody had the right to go to school. And when they introduced this, who introduced it? It was introduced by the West so that they can benefit from the Africa. We also see in a capitalist system where the women inclusion is ignored. We see women are not being included in all forms of us or in all aspects of life. We don't see women in either in political sphere, in economic, or even in the social system. And this in the capitalist in the communist system, where we fight for the inclusion of everybody, the marginalized people, the disabled people, we see that women are supposed to have a place in the society. And in the words of Frederick Engels, who wrote in his book, The Origin of Family, Private Property, and State, he said that the quality or the quantity of development and freedom of any society can be measured by the extent to which women are free or not. So if we are not including women in our development, how are we supposed to develop? If we subjugate one gender, which is a tenant in the capitalist system, then how do we expect that the society is supposed to develop? We also, as a communist, we believe in anti-imperialism and neocolonialism. We see how the Western multinational corporations are underdeveloping Africa in the form of giving loan to us. And this loan, we pay them back more than we acquire them. We see this loan are paid by you people, the poor people are supposed to pay back, and you don't even have the job. Then how are you supposed to pay this loan? And you are okay with the capitalist system that subjugates you, that oppresses you, and you don't even have employment to pay back. Then how are you going to pay back? And the government is so eager in acquiring these loans on your behalf. And at the end of the day, when they leave the power, it is you who's going to pay back the loan. So how are you supporting this capitalism that is oppressing you at an individual level? It is not about the ideology. Look at its tenant. How is it benefiting you as an individual? The only way that we are going to live as a humanity, the only way that we are going to develop as a people, as a society, is through communism that is giving right to everybody. Thank you.
Well. It is indeed an ideological battle, sindio? Yes, and this is a very great mind seated here. And before proceeding further, I'd like to recognize the presence of one Mr. Buka and the team from the Communist Party of Kenya. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of our good friends, one Kipike and my brother there. We have Wakanda Clinton and all of us who are here. We have Belvin Omondi there. God bless you for for gracing this occasion. Now, hope we are tumekuja na artillery zetu. It is about to get messy. It is about to get rough. It is about to, you name it. Sawa sawa. Now, we are crossing over to the capitalist side, and next on stage is one Miss Diana Rose. Let's clap for her as she makes her way into the podium.
Thank you, Apollo. First of all, I'd like to say, in as much as you're advocating for governments to offer free education, if it's free and not quality education, then it is futile to give people that kind of knowledge. So I'd like to go forward and advocate for capitalism. Due to practical uses and statistical facts, it qualifies capitalism as a much more successful and better economic system. Capitalism, as an economic and political system, advocates for free markets, which is controlled by the free market forces. By free market, I mean there's the willing buyer and the willing seller who are willing to transfer ownership of an asset at a mutually agreed price without external pressure from the government or from influence. The only thing that determines the price ranges is the market. The only thing that determines the price ranges is the market forces, which exist to help people. When you talk about capitalism, capitalism is limitless. It gives everyone an opportunity to participate in economic activities and participate in matters that they're interested in. When you talk about communism and the things that happen, you're being offered a job, not the kind of job that you deserve and the kind of job that you need. You're just being given a work and paid accordingly to everyone equally. But when it comes to capitalism and its limitlessness in giving people opportunities, you find that it leads to specialization. Every single person will specialize in the matters that they're interested in, produce quality goods that will be sold at a higher price, bring back more profits to the individual and the state. Remember, individuals pay taxes, whether they're in a communist country or in a capitalist country. And talking about limitlessness, when specialization occurs, definitely there will be competition. Capitalism thrives on competition. And when competition comes, it boosts people, gives people an opportunity to become more innovative, to bring and create more technological equipments which industrialize and put capitalist countries at a better place instead of communist countries where people work on the same level equally, get paid equally, do the same kind of work. My friend will come in and explain the amount of hours that communist workers work. There are no unions that defend people in communist countries. You work according to the government rules, not according to your qualities, not according to your human rights, which are mainly violated. You've talked about women's rights. Have you looked at Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia itself is a state capitalist country and has communist parties within it. But it is not that the communists, it's not that the capitalists within it limit women's participation. It is the Islamic laws that govern the government that governs Saudi Arabia. Thank you.
That is Diana from the capitalist side. Tunaona it's getting more heated up, and please, just I would like to say that the manager, can you just turn on the AC kidogo, because the heat inside here, ni kali sana. So welcoming the communist side is going to be Jeff Olang. Let us give him a round of applause as he comes.
Okay, good morning. First, I wouldn't like to ridicule capitalists, but I would like to correct something. Monopoly doesn't qualify quality. So when you're talking about ownership of means of production as qualifying quality, you are simply promoting monopoly. And also, we all know from our own experiences that totalitarian governments and dictatorships have never been productive governments. Look at the case of Germany. Due to its kind of governance, you find that it suffered the aftermaths of the First and the Second World War. So, narrowing down to my points, communism has promoted health. You asked me why. Looking at the United Nations Charter of 1948 on human rights, Article 25, and I quote, it says, everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for health and well-being of himself and for his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care. So due to communism, health has been made a national interest. You find that everyone has a right to access health. According to, or rather, let me say that the commodification of health due to capitalism has led to health being more of a business than a welfare subject. So due to communism, we find that despite of your capacity, your financial capacity, you are able to access the basic human right, which is health. So narrowing down also to communism has also promoted nationalism. I'm sure someone will hit me back on that, but uh, you people mostly identify with the things that help them. As the university, you'll identify the lecturer that you understand most. You'll identify with the part that promotes your interest. So communism has given the proletariat, who are the poor people, us, those people who are oppressed by the bourgeois. It has given us the power to represent ourselves in terms of it is our country. We are the people of this country. This country promotes our interest. So in terms of nationalism is a sense of belonging. So you can relate communism to nationalism. I will identify with something that will promote my own interest. Something that will diminish me, I will not identify with it. And you should also notice that the class structure has somehow limits growth. Class structure does not allow upward growth. The moment you try to rise beyond your potential, it will always take you down. So when we say that capitalism allows for people to grow, I think we are forgetting the fact that capitalism also advocates for class structure. And also, we must identify that communism rose as a critique to capitalism. The oppressive tenets of capitalism is what gave birth to communism. So communism is a solution from the oppressive nature of capitalism. So let me narrow it down to this. It is basic knowledge, or let me say, it is nature that when you are born, you'll identify with a family. And this family will be taking care of your all basic interests until you're able to take care of them yourselves. So to us, our family is the state. So the moment you give the power to one subject, we lose the essence of the family. So with family, we get development. We get out of the family, we are susceptible to anything that will hit us from the back and from the front. So communism is a shield that will protect us proletariats and will make us aspire for greater goals. Thank you.
Allah. Allah. I think sisi wenye bado hatujaji incline na anything tunaanza kulala side ya communism. Not because of the points zinatolewa, but saikiko hiyo side. Capitalists, you don't have a mantra. Viva capitalists, viva. You don't do that. Well, very nice. Now, if you had gone through our poster, we had written it is an ideological war. Sindio? Yes. Now, this is the war zone. You see here, this is the war zone. And these are the soldiers. They are called a contingent of soldiers. And they have heavy artillery called facts. Sawa sawa. You know, there was a time I engaged somebody in the streets of Maseno. I asked them, a very pretty young lady, what are your views on communism? And they told me, communism is lit. Communism is very lit. Now, we are here to remove the litness. We want you at least make even a 2-sentence from communism. Sindio? Ukitoka hapo nje usiseme communism, unibamba, uwe inanibamba. Sawa sawa. Now, very quick, I would like to acknowledge the presence of a Pan-Africanist in the house. We have Osura. Yes, sorry. I think the name in an hip hop. You can just wave to the crowd. Thank you very much. We can clap for him. We can appreciate him. And I also want to acknowledge the presence of the committee, the steering committee that ensured this whole thing has amounted to whatever it has amounted today. So wherever you are part of the committee, please just stand up. Kipike, I see Kwame, I see our chair lady, I see Musa, I see Hamisi, I see Naftali. Where is Naftali? Naftali, you are there. Please just wave to the crowd. Thank you. Whatever you see, let us give them a good round of applause. Let us appreciate them. They have ensured that this thing goes as it has gone today. Sindio? Yeah, we really appreciate you. Now, without wasting much time, I'd like to cross over to the capitalist side. And next on stage is one Mr. Brian Almasigona. Let's appreciate him. And we must also appreciate the fact that he is looking very sharp. Sindio? Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Almasi Esofhad, and I'm going to talk about capitalism. But before I start, I'd like to say something. My fellow comrades here have talked about this assurance of work from the government. But let's look at reality. Oh, we are getting back to reality. So now let's look at the reality. How many youths are there out there, for example, in Kenya, having degrees but have no jobs? And how many youth, for example, I'm doing a course of political science. Does it mean that I'll go to the government and get that work? Because even my own brother has studied law, but he's working on a cyber. So that doesn't assure me, so you cannot assure me that the government will give you work because no, that cannot happen. My first point, capitalism and governance. You see, capitalism and governance are two identical things. First, public participation, rule of law, responsiveness, accountability. And this is evident because it has worked in the 4 Asian tigers. And just a little free market economy in China since 2009. Look where China it is right now. Another point is freedoms. By the virtue of you coming here, it is your personal choice. So capitalism encourages personal choice and accountability of damage and responsibility. Another one is that capitalism and education, capitalism has enhanced education. As my comrade here once said that it is quality education. And this education, I'd like it to put in a point of opportunities. You see, I cannot help you if I don't have the resources. I cannot start telling you that just wait here, I'll give you a job. Yet, I myself don't even have money. So how will I help you? So this is to say that we need to embrace capitalism because capitalism creates equal opportunities. I give you an opportunity to work, you get money. I give you an opportunity, you earn money, and you. The last one, capitalism. Okay, there's a point that my fellow comrade has said that. Okay, he has mentioned about the UN Charter, but one thing about the UN Charter was it exists because of democracy, and as we know, capitalism encourages largely democracy. And to my last point, capitalism encourages ambitions and also gives dignity to the poor because we have a chance to better ourselves. So how about we embrace capitalism, all of us, and we get these opportunities and we'll stop all these stories of corruption because if the government controls everything, how will I able to develop myself? Thank you.
So far, so good. So far, yeah. Kwani hii hit imekuwa mingi sana mpaka watu wamechomeka akili. Wawi. Nikisema wawi, you say wa, we wa. I say we, you say wa. We, I say wa, you say we. Wa, I say we wa, you say wa we. We wa, wa we. Okay, okay. I can see some people naona soon naongeza hii side. Mtaingia side gani? Capitalist ama communist side?
Inaonekana side ya capitalist wako ni bubu. School for the dumb.
Okay. Now, I'm noting that all these two giants, they are not boxing the air, wanna hit the target to the point. Sindio? Ama mnaonaje? Are you seeing that? Yeah, they are hitting the target. You know, when you're a boxer, you don't just hit the air, you aim at the target. And that is what they are trying to do here. That's why nasema so far, so good. And where great minds are, great things happen. And this is a great thing. So there's a questionnaire that it's part of the debate session so that you can be able to understand you as an audience, because you're not able to accommodate, we're not able to accommodate everyone from into the podium. So just engage with us through the questionnaire. The link is being shared through our WhatsApp group. It's the group is called 25th Ideological Debate, and our manager, Amonite director on that issue is there, Henry. So he's sorting that out. So make sure you check on the link. He's sending the link. It's already there in the group. Make sure you click on the link and just fill in the survey. It's very easy and quick, so it won't take much of the time. As we continue, we're going to give the final statements from each and every side. And with that, I hope you have all the points, all the clarifications, kila kitu. Karibu sana, Mr. Godric from the Communism side.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity to deliberate on the communist side. So first of all, I really get disappointed when I hear some of my comrades or some of my colleagues or my peers talking of or supporting capitalism in this day and age and this era. Actually, the 21st century. The time for capitalism actually ended, and it's time for a new dispensation. And to prove this, I'd like to tell you how communism emerged. Communism as an ideology emerged as a critic of the failures of the capitalist system. And we found that capitalism, it was proven by the scholars that capitalism had failed. It was irrational, unjust, and it did not deserve to exist in this day and era. That is why the communist ideology emerged. It was basically a critique of the failures of the capitalist system. The first speaker talked of a religion, and he said that God is a capitalist. And I want to disagree with that. First of all, when we read the good book, the Bible, we find that even Jesus himself, he was a socialist. He did not advocate for capitalism. He advocated for the welfare of the majority poor in the society. He did not advocate for a capitalist society that is unjust, unequal, and selfish in nature. So we cannot say that God is a capitalist. I tend to disagree with that seriously. Then someone talked of the role of the state, and he said that the state exists to take care of the interests of the people. But I want to say for a fact that the state does not exist to take care of the interests of the people. The state exists to take care of the interests of the few elite property owners in the society. So we cannot say that the state is going to take care of the interests of the people. No, that is a lie. And what does communism as an ideology advocate for? It advocates for a stateless society. So people critique communism out of lack of knowledge. Yes, They critique communism out of lack of knowledge, and they glory in their own ignorance, not knowing what actually communism stands for or what it advocates for. Then they have talked of communism being authoritarian. I don't know, Barack Clark, it does not support freedoms and such like. I don't know, fascists. So actually, when I see some of these critics, I get really disappointed. When you talk of the failures of communism, where are the successes of capitalism? Where are they? If we look in this room here, for example, how many people in this room are assured of employment after graduation? That is one. Even in Kenya today, we have, yes. Then another thing they have talked of is that under capitalism, it guarantees profit maximization. So my question is, who said that we do not support, who said that communism does not guarantee profit maximization? They talked of the failure of the communism in Tanzania. First of all, Tanzania was not a communist state. It was not. It has never been a communist state. And the Soviet Union, under communism, we can see that within 25 years, the Soviet Union was one of the most backward states in the world. But under communism, within 25 years, it rose to challenge the superpower of the world, that is American imperialism. So we cannot say that communism has failed. How? When within 25 years, it can transform a small backward state into a world superpower. So what we advocate for as communists is not the failures of states or whatever. Then you talked of corruption. Under capitalist society, under the capitalist society, of course, we've seen the kind of governance we are enjoying in our country today. Everyone is mad. The people are angry. People are hungry. They do not. They cannot afford food. They cannot afford housing. They cannot afford clothing, etc. So we cannot say that capitalism is the way to go when the majority of the people live in despair and cannot afford the basic necessities of life. So in the interest of time, I'm seeing the moderator coming over while I still have a lot of rebuttals to go here through. They have talked of democracy, and we can say, for example, democracy emerged as a reaction to the ideas of communism the need of communism to take care of the interests of the people.
Thank you.
So
Let
democracy
us
itself.
Let us appreciate it.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll end it there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think the points are very hot. Sindio? It's like tunahitaji masaa mengine, sindio? Now, I've noticed naweza kuwa mtu wa communist. Nimeangalia nywele naona nina fit. Naangalia kenye nimebakisha ni ndevu, lakini ni intano iko ndani. Sasa wana Communist Party, please organize a desk for me, organize somewhere. Upcoming, sawa. I am coming. Watch my pace. Sawa. Thank you very much. Now, the communists have given their points. The capitalists have given their points. Indio. Now, you being our audience, we put you there so that you can so that you can adjudicate whatever we are doing here. Sawa. And you know, my good friend Kwame there was telling me, direction ya communism ni wapi? I think I will cross the floor. Si kwa sababu ya points ni psychico hii side. So people on the capitalist side, tuunde mantra. Sawa. Let us create something. Anyway, now crossing over to the capitalist side who have a rebuttal as we wind up. Let us appreciate one Hamisi Abdallah as he makes his way to the floor.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hamisi Abdallah Motondo, a proponent of capitalism. And for the record, pia mimi niko na nywele na ndevu, so now I am a student of international relations and diplomacy, at the same time a business person and a member of the Kenya Business Society. I'm also a trained community mediator from the Institute of Strategic Dialogue in UK. And for the record, under a communistic society, I wouldn't be a business person and a student at the same time and taking part in such a conversation opposing communism at this time. When one speaker here spoke of zakat and sadaqah in Islam, I'd like to correct on that. I'm a Muslim. Zakat and sadaqah are given only when one has the means to do so. And what allows for that? Businesses, capitalism. Secondly, when you talk of proper health, quality education, Mr. Booker, will you go to North Korea or South Korea? Will you go to China or the USA for quality education and quality healthcare? Let me rectify something. Human nature cannot be changed. When you are selfish, you'll remain selfish, whether in capitalism, communism, or socialism. So don't come here telling me that an ideology will change the nature of a person, please. We are not dumb. Do you people know what is a threat to the government? A threat to the government and political leaders. What keeps them on their toes is democracy, education, highly educated citizens who have the economic capabilities to do anything that they want in that country, who have the capabilities to oppose the government when it is wrong. And by now, you know who advocates for democracy, of course. Please, you're wasting my time. We capitalists are very time friendly. Now, you people, I started by saying that I am a community mediator. And when you guys come here to speak of communism and revolutionaries, and then you tell us that we are backwards, while you are the ones instigating violence and revolutionaries, I fail to understand that. Karl Marx, one of your main proponents, was probably right that capitalism causes, what did you call it? Well, Karl Marx was probably right that capitalism brings about a society with class. But he was wrong about communism being the solution to that. Karl Marx said that his theory is empirical, scientific, but every prediction that Karl Marx ever made was wrong. Revolutionaries have happened in this world, and do you know what happens after a revolutionary? Another leader goes to the top, and it is not actually the society that is in control. If the state is really good, then it should be able to compete healthily with the private businesses without forcing them out of the market. Do you guys have you guys heard of Stalin, one of the people that was mentioned here by the first speaker, who is apparently one of their role models? Stalin, a person who killed almost 20 million people in the Soviet society. Stalin, being brought up as one of the people who influenced communism, and those are the people that want to come and lead this country. Communism, an idea that has never worked in a family, in a village, and today you want to bring communism. Who? Yeah? Okay, sorry, you'll have a time for your questions. I'll get to that. Communism, an idea that has never worked in the family, in the villages. And today you want to bring it as an idea to work for the state. Please spare us the agony. We need our freedom. We need our rights. We need democracy. We need capitalism. Thank you.
Yeah,
Check 1, 2.
Mr. Apollo,
Yes.
naona you're on the capitalist side
Yes, let me stand here.
and I am on the communism
Yes,
side.
yes, sir.
Which English do you have to convince me to come on your side?
No, let us continue. Let us continue with the debate. Let us just continue.
So-
Anyway, thank you very much for that session. We have sat there with my fellow moderator and thought there are things these people have not said. Sindio?
Yeah.
Now, we are giving you 1 minute. Talk amongst yourselves. Who is going to present that powerful point? Who is that person? Who is going to bring that last rebuttal? This is the time. It is the
Grand finale.
grand finale, the wee hours,
Yeah.
the fini, the last time. Sawa. Now, as we continue, if you had looked at our poster, we had said dress presentably. And we did not just write there because we wanted to write. We are live on air. We are live on air. Those people who have not been on air, we are live on air.
We are being on a canal
Yes.
somewhere.
Some of us are being seen in China. People from China, welcome very much
And
to this
thing,
debate.
capitalist side wanafurahia.
Yes, we're also being viewed from America. Clap for those guys. It's true, by the way.
Yeah, let's
It's
give them
true.
a round of applause.
It's true. Now, you can find this live stream on YouTube at the Communist Party of Kenya. Sawa. After this, you can go and review Communist Party of Kenya. Sawa. Leave a comment, like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Sawa. You see, we are different from other YouTube channels. You know those YouTube content creators, even before they put out their content, they say, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and they have not said anything. Sindio, sisi, we have the content first. Sawa. Then we want you to subscribe. Ama, what do you think, Moses?
Yeah, iko sawa sana. And actually, you can just start right now. Right now. Don't waste another minute.
Yes.
You don't have to be a capitalist to save on time.
Yes.
Just start.
Yeah, you can go
Go to
to their YouTube channel. You can do a selfie, post
Yeah.
status, the ideological war. You can actually do that. And then, as I was seated there, they were saying the capitalists do not have supporters because most of them are at work. Wako kazini.
Okay.
They are
okay.
busy. They are busy. These people are busy. Now, they are trying to create time, kukuja.
It's just maximizing on profit.
Yes, it is privatization.
Privatization.
Now, there's somebody who is seated there. We might think all of us we are sailing on the same boat, but they don't know what capitalism is until now. They don't know what communism is. Sindio? And the main aim of why we have come here is to educate us on the various ideologies. Sindio? Yes. So, as we proceed, I think, lakini there are two words that are striking. Kuna mwingine amesema bourgeoisie. Kuna bourgeoisie. Wajua kuna watu wa horticultural and fisheries with IT wameketi hapa. Kuna mtu anafanya flower arrangement
Niliona mtu akiingia Google
na food and beverage.
anatafutwa bourgeoisie ni
Yes.
nini.
Now, bourgeoisie are the people who
okay.
own.
Someone needs a spelling for that word.
Bourgeoisie.
Yeah.
Watu wa food and beverage, please take a notebook.
I'm here to help you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's B.
There are those who own the means of production. Sawa. They are called the bourgeoisie. And then there are those who are called the
Proletariat.
yes. Proletariat are the workers. Sawa. Let us bring it home. It is you. Wewe mwenye unafanyiana kazi, wewe ndio proletariat. Sawa. Yes, I think now you have made up your minds, ndio?
Okay. And also we have a question session coming up after this. So this is from the audience. So make sure you try to get as many questions as you can. All the kind of interactions that you have had so far, just engage with us through a pen and a paper. You put it down on paper. Everyone, I hope you're a kasuku.
Yes,
If you're a
kasuku.
kasuku, you put it down on paper
Ah.
and we get your views.
Yeah, kuna mtu atafika nyumbani aseme, oh, kasuku, kasuku. Now,
Yeah.
it's fine. We are now going to the last session before we enter into the question session. Sawa sawa?
Sawa, sawa.
Yes.
So
And
I
which
think we start from the communism side because the last speaker alikuwa from the capitalist
capitalist side? Okay.
Yeah. So,
The ground is yours.
Okay.
Okay, I'm very still saddened that after all this discussion that we've had, someone still has the audacity to come and defend capitalism in our presence. I'll urge my brothers to kindly cross over to the communist side before we proceed. Anyway, I'll go to the question that should under capitalism, that communism does not encourage employment, or because of the failures of the capitalist system, there's a lack of unemployment. Then you're blaming it on the communist side and saying that the state cannot be able to provide employment. But the fact that the system that we have, the capitalist system, has promoted the primitive accumulation of wealth, corruption, selfishness, and an inherent inequality. That is the reason why the resources that we have that actually are able to serve the majority of the citizens in our society are not able to reach the majority of the people. Because a few people, in their greedy nature, have decided to put the entire resources. 10% of the population is owning 90% of the resources, while 90% of the population stays in abject poverty. This cannot be rational in any way. Then you've talked of democracy and us being Democrats. What I want to say is that communism and democracy, even Mwalimu Julius Nyerere in his Arusha Declaration says that you cannot be a socialist if you are not democratic. And the kind of democracy that you are talking of is not the bourgeois democracy that is characterized by, we're talking of socialist democracy, or we call it the dictatorship of the proletariat, whereby the majority of the citizens control the resources under common ownership, while those few that have been expropriating the resources for their own selfish interests are taken away and taken back and redistributed to the society. Then one of your members talks of Islam. And first of all, what you say is that us and Islam, communism is not concerned about religion. It is concerned about the welfare of the people. That is our only interest. It is not about religion. It's not about Islam. It's not about Christianity. It is about welfare of the people. So we need to ask a question here. First of all, when you look at the society as we know it today, and Christianity, the white man came. One of our scholars always says that the white man came to colonize us and gave us a Bible and asked us to close our eyes and pray. But when we opened our eyes, we had the Bible and they had the resources. So that is a legacy of a capitalist legacy. Colonialism to come and expropriate our resources from the black people and leave the black people landless, poor, marginalized, and everything. But the capitalist states or imperialists have all the resources and control the society. Yeah, my comrade here wanted to add something. So I'll just give him an opportunity to say something in 2 minutes.
Free education, free indeed, folks, free of knowledge. Why did they say free? Free of knowledge. It is because of the word politics. Poly meaning many, and ticks, blood-sucking creatures. Do you know that a child of a true African politician will go and study in the British system and in the American system just because they have the cash to take their children there? But the child of a pauper somewhere in the village will just go to the local school because they can't afford to go there. Why can't we improve on our schools and take our children to our schools instead of taking them to go and study in the British system? Secondly, my brother here said that we should know the difference of equity and equality. My advice for you is that you read Black Child. Mobutu Sese Seko, the president of Congo, became the richest man, the richest president in the world, while Congo became the poorest nation in the world because of capitalism. The art of taking it to yourself while not considering the rest of the nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Quickly, we're crossing over. It's a rebuttal. We don't want to kill the vibe. Sawa sawa? Yes.
I'm back. So, communists, you say that communism brings about a stateless society. Repeat after me. Anarchy. Anarchy. They beat themselves in that. Let me continue. Mr. Osura Kingi, you can remember it's not so far that Cuban doctors came to treat us over here. Cuba is a good example of a communist society. They came here because they are paid less over there. They work in the United States. They even came to take the little we have in Kenya, took even our ladies. Went even with our ladies. So imagine a situation where Kenya is a communist society. We read here, and then we go and work in Tanzania, when Tanzania will be capitalist by then. How will it feel when we will be getting ladies from Tanzania living our own here because we are communist? Don't imagine of that. Orengo dissolved some party some years ago. Some party I won't mention. Buka is already laughing. He knows why. My big question is, since the Communist Party was formed, you talk about democracy. Have you held elections? Have you held elections? When you have monopoly of power still, you are trying to give us an example of what you will do in our society. So the fact that you still have a supreme person leading communists who doesn't want elections, those are the things you want to impose on us. We are not agreeing. So dear friends, you realize very well that an economy only thrives when people work. People only work when they are given opportunities to work. When COVID-19 broke out, for how long did China hold the information that COVID-19 broke out? Their media platforms were infringed to an extent that if you decided to do that announcement, you will be killed instantly. That's the state of a communist society that China gave us. The same way you are saying capitalism failed, I'm telling you, dear friends, communists failed with the Soviet Union. It died then. We are having wise proponents now, and you're not going to confuse us. You are giving examples of failed states. Kenya, look at the states that have thrived because of capitalism. Look at it. We even, let me ask you, Sora, do you know a movie that has been played by China? A movie, a series. There's none that you know. We watch Power every day. We watch Prison Break because it's American. Because it's American. Why? Because that's a state that has succeeded because people were given equal opportunities. People were allowed to work. People were allowed to go to education, be creative, be innovative. My friends, I'm telling you, without privatization, Maseno University won't exist. Without privatization, my friend, the complaints we have will not be heard. Without giving people opportunity, the rate at which we engage in Twitter will have been handled now by the Kenyan government, because you are not allowed to speak against a sovereign person in a communist state. They control you. They control what you eat. They control how you will go to work. They control what you will wear. You have no opportunity to decide for yourself. We are a free state. We are a neoliberal state. We are neoliberal. We don't want things that confuse our neoliberality. We'll forever be neoliberal, because that's the only way we develop. Thank you. Join capitalism. Let's win this war.
One, two. Now, I see the seats are very hot. They are very warm. I see they are burning. But unfortunately, in the interest of time, we cannot engage further. So, I guess we have convinced anyone who wanted to be convinced. They are already convinced. So, thank you very much for that session. Now, we are going directly into the question session, and we will take 10 questions, 5. Very short, very elaborate, and we'll get the pregnant points from whoever we want to ask. So, we have 1. Any other person? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. From this side, we have 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Any other person? Okay. And then the last your option, the last question, I'll give Geoffrey only 1 minute to give his position. Sindio? Yes, Geoffrey is telling me he is banning. Now that slot from the capitalist side, I'll give it to Geoffrey. So. Yes, and we'll start.
And before we
1, 2, 1, 2.
before we start, Apollo, kidogo tu.
I think. Check. Almas. Check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yes, it is very bad to sugarcoat. Na naomba pia umpe
check.
mic. I beg you give him a mic pia. Yes, come here. Just come here. Jamka. Uko na nini kwa mwili? Uko na simu? Hauna simu? Huyu jamaa amevaa vizuri sana. Nimetamani hii nguo yake. Nataka huyu jamaa nitolee hii koti na hii kiatu. Ninaomba tu. We are doing it practically. Naomba nitolee hii koti. Yes. Nataka nibebe tu. Just give me. Just give it to me. Just give it. I'm a communist and a pain communist. Yes. Give me your shoes. Okay. Even your socks if possible. Your socks, please. You'll still have time. Put on it. Yes. This is what we call capitalism. Now, can you see I have a pair of socks, yes? Then I have another pair. I have a coat. Can you see I have another one inside? I'm a capitalist. My friend, can you walk this way a whole day in the streets of Maseno? Can you? Please walk. You are a capitalist. I beg. See, he's a capitalist. At the end of the day, atakujia, si ndio? Naomba atembelewe hivyo. Yes. Now, I, a communist, come here. Yes, I'm a communist, okay? I'm in possession of 2 socks, 2 pairs of socks, 2 pairs of shoes. I find this guy, eh? Yes, this guy that doesn't have, hey, bwana Hamizi bwana. Twende kwa nyumba, kuja twende kwangu. Kuja twende. Yes. Now I give you this pair of shoes, eh? Si unaweza vaa hiyo? Si unaweza vaa hiyo? Na acha hata nikuongezee koti juu naona uko na shati na mimi niko na mbi. This is what we call communism. This is what we call communism. When I say I'm a pained communist, I'm a Maasai, one of the most smallest community we have in the country. Traditionally, we can say we are the owners of Kenya, the land that was previously called by our ancestors, Ndikin Ang, meaning our plains. But today, we are pinned to the farthest end of Kenya because of capitalism. Where did this capitalism started? Back in the year 1904 to 1911, in the period of the British, when they divided the Maasai communities into the North Rift and the South Rift. That's why today we have the Maasai of Tanzania, the Maasai of Kenya. And that is why today, Laikipia is restless. That is communism. And we must say, end to land injustices. And capitalism cannot solve that. That was the beginning of capitalism. Yes, that was the beginning of capitalism. They divide us and they rule us. These guys are saying, we want economists. Now you guys want to create a society that we worship some few men. We want a society that we are all equal. A society that I, voiceless Africa, Leshingo Lesamberab, can wake up and say, no to this. Not a society that I'll wake up and it is only the non-bad, the bad with the fattest thing that can survive. I want a society that I, weak Africa, can wake up and work together with you and fight for the greatness of Kenya. Say no to capitalism. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Afrik. That I think political science and drama and theater are the same WhatsApp group. Sawa sawa. I, the MC. Now, thank you. In the interest of time, we said strictly questions. Sawa sawa. Strictly questions. Let us confine ourselves into questions. Thank you. That was a great submission.
So my name is Beverly, and I have a question for the capitalists. So Henry there started us with a very good verse. He told us that whoever does not work does not eat. Who said that in communism people do not work? People work, but okay, let me not answer that. You'll answer. And then we were told that with capitalists, it's bringing dignity to the poor. What dignity are you bringing to the poor when all you are trying to do is make them generate wealth for you? What dignity is there? And lastly, so Hamisi there told us very well that he's a businessman, he's a student. I'm also a student from the same class. I do not have a business. Do you, as in what type of inequality is that? I'm a student from your class, I do not have a business. I don't know if you're understanding me. What I'm trying to say is that with communism, we are sure we'll be students from the same class and we will be equal. But with capitalism, all we are trying to bring is inequality.
Thank you. The third question.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Can you get me?
Yeah.
My name is Shanish Apondi. I'm a communist by blood. I'm a communist. So I have a question. So the capitalists claim that we, the communists, we inhibit the human rights. So like I have a so like earlier this year, kulikuwa na war, the Israeli and the Palestinian war. And see, you guys claim that you fight for people's rights. And you claim that, and you claim that we are inhibiting the human rights. So like during this war, we witnessed the killing of women and children and also men. So like, how did the capitalist West address this problem? How did they address this issue? Yeah, and I also have another question. So like in the Kenyan constitution, we have this thingy, the 2/3, where the women are given they have been given positions kama women rep. Yeah, but their roles have not been clearly outlined. And we all know that Kenya is a capitalist society. So like we are seen as flower girls. How we are seen as flower girls in the government. How are you going to address this issue? Thank you.
Thank you, Shanish. We have the last question. The last question.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm Henry Odhiambo from Kisumu East constituency, a member of Communist Party of Kenya. I'll have two questions, but before the questions, I will give a scope on where my question will come from. And we know that Kenya is a neo-colonial state, and this has actually pushed us to be grouped into two categories. That is the class of the bourgeois and the proletariat. And that has reduced us further to even ensure that those people that we call the proletariat, even food, cannot even access very rich people. So even education, they have even categorized it and made it known to just a few people who can afford it. That is the bourgeois class. It means that the class of the proletariat, who are the voiceless, has nothing to do what? To gain in Kenya. So when we talk about even poverty and gender in Kenya, when you talk about poverty in Kenya, everybody will think that poverty is meant for a few people. When you talk about gender in Kenya, we think about women. So our women do not even have a space. They cannot even fight for leadership. They are left and given some, we have reduced them to property makers in our society. They simply belong to certain quirky jobs in our household. When will we give our women the space to even advocate for their rights? Look at jobs in Kenya. Our women are not even considered. And in Kenya, when you talk about women, we think just women, not, and forgetting that gender equation is about social construct, that a man has a role and even a woman has a role. But that is not a case in Kenyan society, that we practice capitalism. When you talk about age and property, Kenya is made for the old. Mudi Awori deserves a job than a young person that graduated the other day. So my question is, when will we give young people the chance to get we call them the better jobs that what they need to get, because they have graduated from school? When will we give young people opportunity to even have a voice in social service jobs? So, comrades, what I'm trying to say is that it's time that we fight capitalism. We need a Kenya where young people, the societies, people who do not have a voice in the society, have something to put on the table. So I want to ask my two questions. Number one question, how are you going to address this class segregation that we have in Kenya, the class division that we have in Kenya? Number two, how are you going to improve the lives of the Kenyans? Because we want a Kenya that had the dreams of Jaramogi Odinga. We have a Kenya that had the dream of Dedan Kimathi. We want Africa that had the dream of Mwalimu Julius Nyerere and Amika Cabral. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the questions. Now, just to break the rule kidogo, seems like we have so much to engage in. I'll just give this one minute chance for the last person to give a question on the communism side. So, Kipike.
Thank you. I'm Kipike Zablon from the School of Arts and Social Sciences. I'm happy to be here. In the spirit of Africanism, as a true born child of Africa, we have made to understand with the capital idea that we Africans, we seem to be stupid and only expect anything from Western to be the best. And Africa as a continent, believe me that we are the richest continent in the world. But now with the capital ideology, if I'm repeating this, forgive me. But because of Africanism, the capital idea has even made us Africans to understand those who are soldiering on for Africanism to be the enemies of Africa. This is because look at what is going on in Southern Sudan, what is going on in Uganda, what is going on in Western Africa. What is African Union doing on this? Because of the capital idea, African Union is dead. They are saying nothing about it. Somebody touched that the capital, they send their students or their sons to go and study let me say Cambridge, Switzerland. And the good thing is you find most of the African ideas are being carried from Africa and taken to those sites. Because we Africans, we are even made to understand that all from the Western side is better than from us. We are even made to forget about production. And Africa now is made for reproduction. The production part of us, minerals, we live it. We are left with production. Now my question is, on capitalism, I'm here that at the end of this session, with my communism mind, the capitalists tell me that capitalism is good. With the capitalist mind, the communists show us that communism is the way. So with this, what does capitalism, the capital idea, have to say on matters to do with the unification of Africa, the uplifting of the African culture, so that we Africans depend on our own resources for the development of our African states? Kindly.
Thank you very much, Zablon. That was the question session from the communist side to the capitalist. Now I'll give them a chance to respond and let us confine our approach to the question.
Thank you. I'll start with what Mr. Zablon Kipike has asked. I have a question for you. Do you support female genital mutilation? Ladies and gentlemen, those are the kinds of minds that we have on the communistic side. Just because something is African doesn't mean that it is beneficial for us. And if something doesn't work, then kick it out, embrace something. I'd like to respond to Rick. Rick is a very good friend of mine, my classmate. Now, being capitalistic does not mean that you cannot give. I may be capitalistic, but I may help people. I'm answering your question. Please relax. Being capitalistic doesn't mean that I cannot give. Ladies and gentlemen, who are the greatest funders to Kenya for issues to do with health? Bill Gates, capitalist from the United States of America, capitalistic nation. You talked, Shanish asked about our stand, the stand of the Western capitalistic states on what was happening in Palestine and Israel. I agree, they didn't say anything. But then I have a question too to ask. There are Uyghur Muslims in China who are being killed and forced to eat pork and forced to have sex with other people outside of marriage, which is outside what Islam supports. What is the Chinese nation doing about that? Beverlyn, when you spoke about me owning a business while you don't, for God's sake, I didn't stop you from owning a business, and neither did the government. On the issue of gender, one, I'd like you all to know that gender is not a disability. Under capitalism, everyone is given the right opportunity. You only speak of Kenya. Why don't you ask about the USA, where there's a very good representation of women in the parliament, in the government? You only speak of a country like Kenya because of the corruption that is killing Kenya, right? It is not capitalism that has caused corruption. Someone talked about land ownership. I'll give a good example. I don't know if this is right, but in Kenya, there are the two families that we know that own the largest parts of land. True? Please don't tell me that is because of capitalism. Kenya was a socialistic state at that time. And by the way, socialism is a stage towards communism. And I'd like to ask you, are you guys socialists or communists? Because you confuse us. Yeah? Communists. Someone is saying both, someone is saying, yeah, because you come here and give us points about socialism, while I understand that socialism has a difference with communism. Yeah, there are things that are similar. But then please make a stand. Are we socialists or communists? We are not done with our questions. Someone next is coming to answer the next questions. What was your question? He worked for it. It is his right to have it. You people, let me tell you something. No. You will not confuse us. Listen to me. Listen to me. Thank you. Listen to me. You people, listen to me. Listen. Yes. I'm sorry, but that is what communism does, taking from the rich and giving the others. Listen to me. Let me ask you. Yeah. What does communism do? Yeah? Thank you. Thank you. Now, I have one more thing to say before I sit down. I have one thing to say before I sit down. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in capitalism, one works and gets
the submission from Geoffrey, and then I'm made to understand that there are people who are neither communist nor capitalist. Ndio. We'll give them only one chance to ask their question. That is Benson. Ndio. Thank you. I hope you are noting the questions. Ndio.
Okay, I feel like before I justify my stance, I need to recognize that my stance will be on the base that we stand tall. So allow me to stand on the podium. Okay, good afternoon. Tell me I sleep all day, and for example, it's my neighbor. He wakes up every morning and he's like, he toils. He's a hard worker. How do you expect him to receive some equal pay like him? Like, if it's equality, how will that be equal? Wait. Just wait. It's my turn. It's because you are lazy. Okay, let me continue to my second point. All of us, if not all of us, we know Michael B. Jordan. I want to be a basketballer like Michael Jordan. But if I'm sleeping or if I'm lazy, I don't make any effort of practicing basketball. I don't feel like Michael Jordan. I'll be just like anyone else. So you can't expect me to be paid some equal pay like someone who works hard to someone who sits there to be worked hard for. That makes the difference in our society. Let's look at the contemporary world, where we can see we are sent in school because they expect us to work hard and receive some success that will make us be good people in the society, be the good in we in the society, and change the society. Tell me, why are you in school? Can somebody answer that? Because you want to change yourself and you want to change the society. That is why you are in school. Winston Churchill once said, communism is just a vice of sharing the misery in the society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Geoffrey. Now, the last question, and then they will respond. So. And the communist side, we are giving you only 5 minutes to answer, because the parts you will not touch will be addressed by our guest, our chief guest today. So. Please just bear with us. Benson, 30 seconds.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I represent the undecided, so I'll be. My name is Monena Morioki. I'll ask both sides. So I would like to ask the capitalist. The last capitalist spoke about neoliberalism, and he defended it and was very happy about it. Now, according to a report by Oxfam in 2017, they said that 1% of humanity hold more wealth than 99% of humanity. Of course, there is a recipe for social instability. If 99% of humanity produce social instability, how will capitalism survive? Then to the communists. In 1989, communists were 36 states, and now there are 5 states. If capitalism collapses, how will they rise to offer us a solution? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good questions. Afternoon.
What becomes fundamental what comes out clearly, right? That comes to cannot run. We've seen from the highlights and the analysis, and I'm wondering, even when I see my brothers in the capital side trying to fit into Marxism, Leninism ideology, the only problem is that they don't consider that one, and what they say are pro-Marxist. But in the analysis, you will realize that when they are talking about
a classless society, a capitalist government, then I start to wonder, and I feel bad, because in a capitalist society and you want to run from the reality of class struggle. And it's true, comrades, that we must put this one in cognizance. That in a capitalist society we have today, is either you rich or you are completely poor. Is either you are on property or you are not. And the question of owning of the property is coming and being elaborated here. And I feel a bit bad out of it, but when I said I feel well because of the ignorance that comes with that. But let me say this one. We are not poor because we don't work. The poor Kenyans, we are not poor because we don't work. Look into the streets of Kisumu, all the mama mbogas. Those people walk every morning struggling to make ends work. And it is these work people that represent the working class in those bourgeoisie industries in Nairobi, in industrial areas. But they are being paid on tokenism. As communists, we don't call for many things. What we call about is that when somebody is working, when a proletarian is working, when a peasant is working, what belongs to him or her got to be given. But what does the capitalist do? Yeah, you're working in industrial area, you're living in either Githurai. You cannot even get enough amount of money to make that billionaire industrial area to get what he or she deserves. So your role as peasants in a capitalist society is basically to make the few elite rich and extremely richer with an extremely gap of the poor. And to an extent, if you see the political scenario in Kenya, what we call tribal but balkanization in politics in Kenya, these all are a crisis of capitalist government. That's why we have, when an election is coming, you see the Railas of the world. He's bringing the Luos together, he's bringing the Western together. We call it the tribal balkanization. And today, petrol will, the price of petrol has increased. It's never the Luos, it's never the Kikuyus, it's never the Luyas, it's all of us. As capitalists, you believe that one is okay. It's just think that, okay, when the free crisis is in Kenya and is looming in Kenya, it doesn't compare whether you are from Nyanza, you are from Western. It's affecting all of us. And the problem that I feel bad is when you see peasantry trying to sympathize with the capitalist government. And I want to state categorically and record clear that we Marxists, we are never reformists. We are never reformists. We are revolutionary. And revolutionary, our ultimate gain and our ultimate desire is to oversee a pro-people revolution and to start building our country towards Marxism and Leninism. So whatever the outcome of the debate, we don't value much. Because Marxism has scientifically been proven. When you're talking about Cuba and the people of Cuba and how the Cubanese government have been helping Kenya, you saw the recent Ebola crisis in West Africa. Where were the doctors? Did the United States of America have medical personnel to come into Western African countries? They had. Did they come? You see the liberation struggle in Western Africa. You saw what the comrade Che Guevara and many other comrades did in the liberation struggle for African people. When Che is leaving, he left with nothing. Neither our hoits, neither our coffee. The liberation struggles in Kenya left. So the questions is empty us. The questions are empty us. And we take a radical stance, whatever the outcome of any debate. Thank you. Marxism for 21st century is inevitable. It's either we go Marxism or we die as a people. Thank you.
5 minutes to all of you.
He posted a question.
Yes, he posted a question. Yes, 30 seconds. Only 30 seconds.
I mean that.
Please.
There's a question.
You are done with your 5 minutes. Communists don't take time as a serious thing. Okay, you asked about the percentage of the earth being owned of wealth being owned by 1%. This is my answer. That's with capitalism. With communism, there will be no wealth to be owned. Thank you. I'm answering another question again. He talked about something and I can't let it go. Skills and labor are different. Cristiano Ronaldo is a good player because of his skills. I can't give the same accolade to Rudiger because he runs throughout the pitch. Thank you.
Okay. I'll take just a minute to try and go through the questions that have been asked and leave my final moment to answer the rest of the questions. So first of all, they talked of one thing that I realized that majority of this, one thing that I've realized that the majority of the speakers have confused communism with is charity. They think that communism is about charity. It's about giving. It's about just giving out to people that do not want. But I want to rectify that notion. That is a result of the bourgeois propaganda that has been deliberately sold against the socialist and communist ideology. So first of all, communism is not about charity. It is about it's about humanity. And for example, we've talked of aid coming to Kenya. Why should we have aid coming to Kenya when we have the capacity to produce for our own people? Why should we have aid when we have the capacity to produce for our own people? Then two, on gender, I want to say that it is through capitalism whereby affirmative action is being promoted. That is like, for example, including clauses in the constitution to enable women to be represented in government. But under socialism and communism, we will not look at you as a female or a male. You have to prove your capacity to be in a position, not because of your gender or anything.
Thank you.
Then,
very fast, please. We are so much pressed on time. So, because our chief speaker is one Mr. Buka and is inclined to your ideology, I think he'll touch the rest of the history. So, please just allow me. Just allow me. Now, actually, with your permission and with my co-MC's permission, I'd like to recognize the presence of two people who helped us very much in the mobilization. So, brief, 20 seconds. We have one Mr. Wakanda from the conservative team, and my house chairman, Bwana Dennis Wambu. Just a comment.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Wakanda. I came here when I was undecided, but right now I am a capital. Just a comment. Let us not confuse humanity with ideology. Yes. I can have, but the act of giving, you cannot cheat us that it will bring it to the communist side. Because however much I have, mimi naamua kama ni peane ama nisipeane. That is on my side. Kwa hivyo msilete hiyo, and then we'll never be equal in the society. Just like these figures are. Kuna ule mwenye ako nayo na kuna mwenye hana sana. So what these people are doing, the capitalists, wanajaribu kupromote so that ule mwenye ako na mingi sana apeane kama ni hiyo job. But it will never be equal. Thank you. Back to you.
Just join the club.
I greet you all. Communism. Wambogo Dennis is my name. I'm from the House of Mundi. The organizers of this happen to be my classmates, so we get hand in hand in matters organizing when we are all coming together because we are all a family. I would like to say something. I was once a great debater. I participated in great debaters long years ago, and I'm still a debater until today. But I'd like to say one thing that my teacher used to tell me. Before you go into a debate sphere, make sure that you listen. My friends from the communists, you are getting a mixed up of what socialism, communism, and capitalism is. The three are very distinct. Please, that's all my input. I would request that you all do our research properly so that we do not get
Now, we are going very quickly to Ashimi is going to lead
lead us to the next session. But before that, let me acknowledge Kui, who was very instrumental in our own disaster, and I beg to stop there. I want to acknowledge Kila Mtu, Makai and
Good afternoon. Yeah, it was an incredible debate, and I'm really glad that some of us are still undecided, and some of us are decided on what they really want. Hello, can you get me right now? So, in as much as it was a debate, I'd really like to extend my sincere gratitude to the members of the Communist Party of Kenya. I would like for them to stand, and I'd like those that come from the Siaya constituency to kindly introduce themselves. Kindly stand, wave to the crowd, but those from Siaya, kindly say hi to my classmates, my family, and the debaters.
Just say hi.
What do you need?
Viva Comrades, Viva! Viva! My name is Aliginya, and I'm a great communist. I believe that one day, Communist Party of Kenya will take power and poverty and everything that is social injustice will end. Viva Comrades, Viva!
Thank you, comrade.
Viva Comrades, Viva!
Viva.
My name is Ugogo H. I'm from Gate. I'm happy to be here. It's something that we can display our ignorance in public. Very sad. So I know from here, shall know what communism, socialism is, and what capitalism is. Thank you. Thank you very much.
After Congress, I'm going to Charles from Sierra. I want to say that most of the capitalists don't know what they're doing. And in time, when they really come to the market, they know what they're doing.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Congress.
Good afternoon.
Young Sale from Sierra. Actually, when I hear Congress talk about capitalism and defend capitalism, then it starts. Now, I don't believe in this kind of thinking. I mean, well, because it actually goes to the very few parts that we know, like here in America. Thank you.
How are you, comrades? I'm President H from Sierra Game, USC, a member of City Party of Kenya. Now, in this debate, what I can say is that the one defending capitalism, I can say that you are more than you are devils. No, on this part. Everything is now. Capitalists are the ones sharing with nature. Yeah, I'll give an example of just getting over here. Because, the ecosystem is being affected also the capitalists. Just mind profits. Every time they just want to get profits. And they put human beings second, and then the profits first. That is the worst of all.
Thank you.
So, I know the process, and we cross over one day to communism.
Thank you so much.
Very great because we are here. Let's cooperate.
Oh, Surya. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Osura. I'm not a communist. I'm not a capitalist. Who are you? But again, I support communism and capitalism. The development of human interests. Number one, who controls communism? The communist people. You are telling me that you want to give the resources to the people. Are there people to control this? Or we just want to go, okay, these are mineral ores. We are 1 how do we distribute this in the
Comrade.
I'm not a part of capitalism because Luca, thank you to Maseno University. Thank you for coming to Maseno University. This one here is a chair. This thing is manufactured by a human being. The inventor of this chair, do you know who invented how to make this chair?
A poor man.
You don't know?
Yeah.
But Maseno University students, do you know who is supplying these chairs to Maseno? Who is doing that? Let me leave that. All of you, when you are going to CI, you must have been going to CI. You will see a coaling station owned by Shajan and Holdings. But as you go towards Polo, you will see young Kenyans on the sand making cocoa. We have a government. The capitalist people, tell me one thing. Is it making profits or prosperity for humanity? Yeah. What is equality and justice if we support communism and capitalism? You know, one day somebody said that Africans are monkeys. Because monkeys have two characteristics. The first one, a monkey will always imitate. Yes. A monkey will always imitate what you are doing. If you throw a monkey, if you throw a stone at a monkey, it will throw back. But again, a monkey is always undecided. So Africans are undecided about communism and capitalism. We are undecided. Let me ask one thing before I sit down. Let me ask one thing before I sit down. The communists and the capitalists. When we support communism, do you want to say, as Africans, that any system of colonial trade before the infusion of the colonial colonies, we had barter in a sense where I had a book and you had three books. He has three pets, right? And what do we do? I say, have my book, have a book, then give back. We are equal. We can all write our ideology from the book. That is your mind.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not a capitalist. I'm not a communist. But I support capitalistic ideologies and communist ideologies where it is required.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is David. I am a member of the communist. Before I make any remark, I want to ask my brothers from the other side that do you people are all corruption and looting and impossibility and like you do? If your question yes is yes, then it's very definitely you are defending an ideology that you people don't understand. That is what I've come to realize in this meeting. But what I know that communism, as we have always said, that it's the science of the liberation of the poor. It's the science that is aimed at reviving our society to a better, to adjust, and to implement home for all. We don't want a situation where my brother over there can afford to buy golden iPhone, where my sister over there is not even assured of what she's going to take in the evening herself. The ideology you are defending, it is evident and very clear that you are only doing it out of lack of knowledge or deficiency by human. Once we welcome this side, actually, this is the future and the way of life.
Thank you so much, comrade.
Thank you so much, comrade. Comrade Victor Onyango, a CPK member. And one thing I would like to make is to also bring into the attention of the House two categories of people in the land. Those who want things to change and those who want things to remain the way they are. And we have seen it from the debates. And also to say that in communism, we are saying from each according to his ability to each according to his needs. Thank you for this.
Thank you so much, comrades.
Thank you, comrades. And my name is Len Munala. I'm a member of the Communist Party of Kenya. Actually, I'm part of the debates. It is one detail I could see that some people throwing their faces when the points are now entering. But I would like to also highlight only 3 things from your discussions. You see, when we talk of communism, we are talking of humanity. Actually, there is one person that said that God is a capitalist. And in reality, it's a contradiction because God said that whoever does not work, he spoke through Paul, that whoever does not work is not entitled to eat. And it is the capitalists, the bourgeoisie, that are not entitled to eat. Because when they walk around with their. And we, the toiling masses, we work hard to produce the goods in the industries as they now enjoy the profit. When we talk of profit, how does profit come? Profit comes when you exploit the worker. Because for you to make the profit, you must make sure that I work. So when we talk of capitalism, we are talking of an oppressive and exploitative regime. Actually, I've also heard of you people talking of gender equation. And to highlight this, it is that the gender equation is only in a capitalist society. And then this gender equation is only when now the capitalist society is trying to actually perpetuate patriarchy. But then in a society, actually socialism is the only way that is going to lead us to communism. So I welcome my brothers to come and learn and not to teach us about the difference because we already know the difference of communism and socialism. So in this, I'm just finishing, my brother, and then I'll let you have the mic. So I'll give a typical example with democracy that we are talking about with the contemporary one. I will not go to China or whichever, but I'll focus in the Kenyan government. When we talk of the Kenyan government, we are talking of democracy. Let us use the current example, which is now the BBI. Was it democratically right? And yet we were jumping with the democracy because we were not involved as the masses, but then it was being jumped with the rich class. And even right now, when we talk of it, the land equation in the country, the government has failed to address it, and then we have virgin lands and lands that cannot be used here in this country, and then we have squatters, and then you want to support the system that leads to a concentration of the means and factors of production to the hands of a few, while the majority are suffering. Thank you, Congress.
Thank you so much. I now we invite Kevin Osura to give us brief remarks for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ashley. I will strictly take 5 minutes. Comrades and citizens of Kenya and Africans in Maseno University, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Communists are here. Capitalists are here. I will say one thing, that capitalism that we are talking about is an inventory of colonization. To colonize Africa, the colonizers had to use communism to colonize us. Looking into the context of colonization, we have the global countries. They call themselves the global countries, the G7 countries, the most globalized countries in the world. We have the G20 countries, the most globalized countries in the world after the G7. In the G7, have you ever seen an African country? In their summits, have you ever seen an African leader? Have you ever seen an African leader? In the G20, in their summits, have you ever seen an African leader? Communists. Have you?
then why did the G20 and the G7 countries have to unite to colonize Africa? Because Africa was great. Africa was great in three aspects. Number one, in their economic aspects. Number two, in their spiritual aspect. And number three, in their social aspect. As I will be finishing, I will give you a story. One day there was a man who was walking, and when he was walking in Africa, he was so tired, it was actually getting evening. And he saw a tree and said, oh, let me go and rest under this tree. And he went and rested, and he said, oh my God, I'm so hungry. I wish I had food. I wish I had this and that. And out of nowhere, food came. And then after eating, he said, oh God, I'm so filled. I wish I had the drinks to drink and make. And he drank and he gave drunk. But the man after eating, he said, oh, this place is filthy. I wish I should even die. And he died. Then after he said, Charles Darwin told us, the story I'm giving you is about Africa. Some people came into Africa and they gave Africans food. That is it. After giving Africans food, Africans thought these people were rulers. Then they gave Africa drinks, hard drinks. Africans, when they were drunk, in their drunk nature, Africans accepted everything. Africans left their religion, Africans left their colonial economic system, and Africans didn't even know themselves. And the man says, you people are monkey. Why? Because one, you are imitators. You imitate everything that comes in the world. You imitate. When I tell you one thing about the African religion is about three things. It is about the body, the soul, and the mind. There is nothing like Jesus. The African spiritual science says that God exists inside a human system, and God is part of a living person. And so, what should a human do? A human do should look towards finding how to control the system that exists within himself, so that he may make the world a better place. The world was formless. The world was formless. And why is it that Africans cannot create anything? Buka, I want to ask you one thing. Why is it that right now we have 7,000 Chinese nationals in Kenya? Out of these 7,000 Chinese, only 1,200 are engineers building the road. The silk road that China is building. Out of them, only 1,200 are engineers. But I ask you one question. What about the 5,800 individuals? They are casual workers. Amongst these engineers, don't we have engineers in Africa? Don't we teach our people how to build roads in Africa? Where are these engineers in Africa? Amongst these people building the road, the 5,200 who are casual workers, don't we have unemployed Africans in Kenya? We do. What are we doing to our people? I come to the question of capitalism. The Chinese have realized that Kenyans are monkeys and Africans are monkeys. But they have left everything. But an African can see that I can't build this thing. They have left everything to one person, the government. And what happens? Through capitalism, they come to the government, bribe the government, and they bring their nationalists in Kenya to do their investments in Kenya. One thing I ask you, my brothers and sisters seated here, is there any country in Africa that is making phones? Is there any country in Africa making phones? But what is used in making a phone? It is uranium. In the whole world, Kenya is the third largest uranium producer in Kwale. In Kenya, not even uranium and titanium and bauxite are used to make a phone. So,
Not even a single company in Kenya is making uranium, is making phones. What do? We take our uranium because of what? Capitalism. You can control these people. And so here comes a problem. The problem is not the capitalism ideology. The problem is not the communism ideology. The problem is imperialism. Imperialism where a country controls you through what you believe. Can I ask you something? Do we have a media? Do we have any media that we control? We don't have. So if we don't have a media, a minute, 30 seconds. You gave me 5, Haijaisha.
I tend to say more than that.
Haijaisha. You gave me 5. Just be a communist if you are now.
No.
5, Haijaisha.
Okay, can we wind up?
Okay.
Please.
So I am asking you this question, Africans. It is not about the communist idea. It is not about the capitalist idea. It is about having a system where we understand which ideologies we need to use to develop our country. China and the West are competing in civilizing Africa. And that is why each and every day, when we have an African leader, they will kill him. Who will try to oppose? They will kill him. They killed Muammar Gaddafi and told us that Gaddafi was actually a terrorist. But what did Gaddafi say during his death? One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. When they kill Osama bin Laden of Saudi Arabia, what did he say? One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. When they came and killed Magufuli of Tanzania, what did he say? Watanzania wacha niwaambie nyinyi, nimewapigania kwa sababu ya haki yenu. Lakini mnayemwona kuwa ni kiongozi wenu ama ni Mungu wenu is actually your greatest enemy. One thing I would like to tell Africans, let us realize ourselves that Africans are now taking their hope in Jesus Christ. Africans are now taking their hope in Muhammad and Allah. Africans are now taking their... Very soon I will tell you that we will have Buddhists, we will have Krishna, all those systems of all those of religion in Africa. But what is our spiritual religion system? Do we know our systems? That in Africa we have doctors who have studied medicine until PhD who cannot even make a single Panadol. That we have to be made to depend. A single Panadol. 60 years after independence, we have never found a solution to our problems as Africans. What is the problem? Imperialism. I will ask you one thing. Root yourself towards ending imperialism for a better Africa. Thank you.
Before I invite our next speaker, I would like to pass greetings from our Dean, Mr. Tomboya, and our very own lecturer Fred Ochieng from the International Relations Department, that is SPSS. Okay, there is a program tomorrow at Maseno Primary. It's a well-care program where they'll be testing for malaria, COVID-19, HIV/AIDS, and other diseases, as well as they'll be giving drugs to the community, and also the students are invited, and also family planning as well. So if you're free tomorrow, you can join the team that is going to Maseno, or you can go and get status. So as we continue, I'd like to invite my vice chair of the Communist Party of Kenya, Buka Ngesa Omole. He's the one who has greatly contributed to the I'll say the establishment of this session today. We see the media here is the one who has facilitated and also some contributions that have helped us to present up this meeting today. So kindly help me appreciate Bukangesa Omoni.
talk a bit.
Oh, so I initially say that receive our greetings from our dean, from Boya, and Fred Machine. And also I think about the welfare is really important. It's about our health. So get quality health. Tomorrow let's go for testing and let's turn up in high numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, and also we welcome our special guest for the day. Let us give, we need to make it more ceremonial. We don't do just for the sake of it.
Okay.
So let's do a demo before we come. So this is, we are doing tutorial, but in a different way, in a traditional way. You know a portion of it, right? You know a portion of it. So we're going to make the sound of a portion of it. Yes, this is. So you start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you make it according to my base. Okay. I don't know if you get it, but let's stand up. Let's stand up. Okay. When I do this, you follow with the clap. Okay. When I do this, you follow with the clap. Okay, nice. Thank you. That is good. Welcome you.
Good. Yeah.
Questions from answered. She'll answer them. There are some questions that are left out.
Okay.
Yeah, so I hope in your speech you get answers.
Okay.
Maybe we can say one revolution that is all before Buka.
Form the unit and fire. Form the unit and fire. CPK. CPK. Go out. Hey, hey, Mali. Mali. CPK. CPK. Go out. Hey, hey,
Wananchi wenyewe hatupige na kueneza Injili. Wananchi wenyewe ya kueneza, sipige na kueneza Injili. Tunaijenga Ulaya, tunaijenga vizuri na kueneza Injili. Sipige na kueneza Injili. Wananchi wenyewe ya kueneza, sipige
Thank you so much.
Thank you, comrade. Ashley, how much time do I have? Yeah. So that, how many minutes? 25 minutes. I try to make it short. Yeah, comrades. So, really have a good time listening to comrades debate. For those people who have not interacted with me, my name is Buka Ngesa Omole. I am the vice chairperson of the Communist Party of Kenya. And I am glad that this debate has taken place. And I congratulate the organizing team. I congratulate my sister, Ashlyn, for having put it together and thought to invite the Communist Party of Kenya to grace this occasion. I also hope that the capitalists will also invite the capitalist parties in Kenya to come and also participate. Because if it is a battle of ideas, then there are organized political parties in Kenya that are capitalist, but they are ashamed to be called capitalist. They call themselves social democrats. In our next debate, and that will be a good session. The second thing is that when I came to this university, I think 2 years ago, we started some study circle programs here. And my objective at that time was that we can run away from the ethnic politics and bring politics of ideology. However, those shades of ideology can be, because that is a step forward to me. Because in many ways, when I was in university, we used to have students that were supporting radical left. There were students that were supporting Pan-Africanism ideas. There were students that were supporting socialism and communism. But in many ways, in the last several years that I have been engaging in student politics, I have found many students are divided in terms of tribal politics, or even in terms of the people who have money that are elected in the university. So even if you get people here who can articulate student issues, but they don't see it to pass through because they do not have some money to hire some, in the University of Nairobi at that time, they used to call themselves, some goons, and they will drink alcohol and beat people the whole night for election to take place. But today, we are in an ideological war. It is called a battle of ideas. And that, to me, I want to congratulate. At least, I want to say that the comrades in the School of, I think it's Social Studies and Development, School of Development and Strategic Studies. So I congratulate you all, and feel free to organize more debates. We say iron sharpen iron. Yeah, so don't be, but when you come to debates, also know that the greatest thing that will absolve you is history, because these debates will be here with us beyond you. So we'll know, how did you used to think when you were at Maseno University? How did you used to think when now either were you the one on the future or were you the one on the past? So my aim is to probably just make you thirsty for more knowledge. And of course, I will use my revolutionary tendencies to drive my agenda home. And I want you to search for knowledge, because that is why you're in a university. You have to be respected because you are intellectual, that you can do some research and find certain facts and defend those facts. And even if those ideas are worth sacrificing for, you can sacrifice for them. So there are a few things I've heard that I will not make this session a reactionary session where I'm reacting to certain issues, but I will answer a few questions. But the first thing that I will want to say, that we can all agree, at least this one, any reasonable person can agree, that we all want to look for reality. That is it. So that means if you are a student of development studies, then you want to look for the factors that leads to a sustainable development in a country. And how do you want to look for reality? Is that you want to do some scientific investigation. That scientific investigation can fall in the realm of social sciences. It can fall in the realm of biology, or even anthropology, or even philosophy. So at least that rational beings know that we can and we want to make decisions based on reality. In fact, our brothers here, every time they made the idea, they said, let's go back to reality. So how do we then, because if you're looking at capitalism and you're looking at communism, there are three things that we can identify with them. Is that there is a philosophy, there is political economy, and there is ideas that are anchored on them. To me, that's very important, because if for communism, we say that we want to value scientific research because we know that the future of man and woman in this world is based on science. So in the globe today, I think you've done some philosophy in school. There are in the world of philosophical debate, there are two hostile camps. And these two hostile camps are based on people who believe on supremacy of ideas. That means it is ideas that came before you. So it's the ideas that created your mouth, not the other way around. It's not your mouth who spoke them. In fact, in many ways, they had started from the era of modern era, and it was called, so I think, so it is. That if I can think with clarity about something, then it is true. Definitely, it's not true. There are several things we have in our mind that we think clear, but they are not based on reality. The second hostile group where is materialism. Not just materialism, in more complex terms, it's called dialectical materialism. To mean that to reach reality, we have to start from the known to unknown. We have to start from matter. So those are two hostile philosophies. So even the philosophies that anchors capitalism and the philosophy that anchors communism, complex terms have gone philosophy. So, for example, complex here to see how to penetrate reality. Because once we know reality, then we can make informed decisions. The second thing is the issue. Society is a society based on slavery. Or society is capitalist, or society is socialist, or communist. That society must produce. And that means if that society must produce, then it must consume, and it must. The whole capitalism being a source of wealth in the traditional African society, wealth. So does it mean that our cows were not wealth? So that means in every society, even during slavery, there was wealth. But to whom is that wealth to? That is the question. That is where all these things come about: socialism, capitalism. That actually the hero. Don't labor. When the profit is dear, then we have rich businessmen. So the common good of the community does not come in Adam Smith. So the second thing is that where do we go? Because remember, capitalism was coming at the time when there was feudalism, when there was slavery. That means there was too little wealth, but that wealth was under the kings, the queens. There was little wealth, that wealth was under, the lords in Europe. In Africa, when we come before the coming of the colonial person, we also had our economy based on advanced communalism, and we used to organize it without any person dying of hunger in Africa. So if you look at those systems that I mentioned, any economic model were only benefiting a few people. So the term that our commentators here were calling bourgeoisie literally means a middleman. And the French middlemen, and they traveled and they came back with wealth in Europe. And that means the routine of slavery that was owned by the lords was not profitable anymore because they had gold from Africa. Columbus had so much, a seafarer. So when he came home, he was asking himself, these people who keep on saying that leadership came from God and they are here taking wealth. In fact, it was during the dictatorship of the Roman Catholic Church. Then arise the first revolution, which was a proletariat revolution. It was called Parism, and that led to the fall. In fact, today, if you go to France, there is no queen. They killed him. Because they were sitting on the throne. And the philosophy I was telling you about is the philosophy that is based on that from a word. So time. How we say that you're white or you're pink. So of African socialism, in fact, if you look at Kwame Nkrumah, he talked about it. Now, instruments. I don't go back to, you know, this everything really will turn the corner upside down, dictatorship of the proletariat for a while, because we need to get instrumentation to our side to use them. But that is only on a transition. There is not a communist state. We have achieved a communist state in the world. We are building social towards communism. Communism is, you know, it's heaven on earth. I had a question of God. Somebody said here, I think it was Godric. He said that that why should you fight religion? Say that according in if you people, and then on the other hand, he's telling us that people must break. Communism is about people living in